Have you ever looked at a financial report and felt like you needed a decoder ring just to figure it out? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. We're talking about a universal language for business data. And trust me, it could change, well, pretty much everything.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to wade into the reporting mess that we're all stuck in right now. Then, we'll look at the blueprint that's designed to clean it all up. After that, we'll zoom way in on the single most important building block. They call it a fact, and see how smart patterns, or patterns, assemble these blocks into reports that actually make sense. And finally, we'll look ahead at the incredible future that this whole new approach makes possible.
All right, let's start with the problem itself. Why is it so incredibly difficult to compare one company to another? I mean, it's not like there's a lack of information out there, right? The problem is, the information itself is a total jungle. You know the feeling. You pull up two reports, and they're supposed to be talking about the same exact things, but they're using completely different words. This just creates a total mess of confusing, inconsistent information that's almost impossible to navigate.
I mean, just look at this. It's super simple, but it shows the problem perfectly. Company A reports net sales. Company B reports revenue. Are they the same thing? Probably, but you can't be 100% sure without digging deeper. And it's that little bit of doubt, that ambiguity, that makes any kind of automated analysis a complete non-starter.
So to get out of this data jungle, we don't just need a better map. No, we need a whole new blueprint for how we build our data from the ground up. The goal here is to create a single, universal set of instructions that absolutely everyone can follow.
And that is where these folks, the Object Management Group, or OMG, come into the picture. They're a nonprofit that builds the kind of technical standards that, frankly, our modern world runs on. So you can think of them as the master architects who are designing this brand new data blueprint. And their creation is called the Standard Business Report Model, or SBRM. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like a universal translator for business data. It's not a piece of software you buy. It's a master set of rules for how information should be defined. And because it's what they call a platform-independent model, it works with any system, whether it's an old-school format or the next generation of AI tools. So how does this thing actually work? How does it create this universal language? Well, it all starts by focusing on the smallest, most basic piece of information possible, something it calls a fact.
Think about it. If I just show you a number, let's say 2,000, what does that even mean? Is it $2,000, 2,000 people? On its own, it's totally meaningless. It's just a number floating in space.
But the second you add context, what SBRM calls aspects, that number completely transforms. Suddenly, we know it's ABC Company's revenues for the 2019 fiscal year. See? That whole package, the value plus the context, that's what makes it a fact. And this is the big idea right here. A fact isn't just the number, it's the number and all the other data you need to understand it. It's like the fundamental atomic Lego brick. Every single piece of a business report is built using these little guys. And according to the SBRM standard, every single fact, to be considered complete, has to answer three basic questions. The reporting entity, that's the who. The calendar period, that's the when. And the concept, that's the what. Who, when, and what. Simple as that. Okay, now this diagram, it looks a little intimidating, I know. But don't worry about all the lines and boxes. Just look right at the center. You can see the fact is connected to its fact value, that's our number, and to all of its dimensions, which is just the fancy technical term for the aspects we just talked about. This is the blueprint that makes sure every piece of data always carries its full story with it.
So we've got our perfect little Lego bricks, our facts, but a pile of bricks isn't a house, right? How do you assemble them into something useful, like a financial statement? Well, that is where SBRM's patterns come into play.
So a pattern is basically a predefined recipe for how to connect facts together. Instead of just giving you a list of numbers, patterns actually define the mathematical relationships between them. They embed the business logic right into the structure of the report itself. It's really smart. Now, here's the most common pattern of all, the roll-up. Again, don't get lost in the diagram. All this is showing is the simple idea that you can take a bunch of different numbers, combine them, and get one total. It is the basic recipe for pretty much any summary calculation you can imagine. And when you break it down, it's just beautifully simple. You take component A, you take component B, you tell the system to add them or subtract them, and boom, you get a total. So,
Things like finished goods plus raw materials equals total inventory. That mathematical rule is defined by the pattern.
Okay, another super powerful one is the roll-forward pattern. This is the logic that is absolutely crucial for tracking how a number changes over a period of time. I mean, think about a cash flow statement or even just balancing your bank account at the end of the month.
And here's the logic broken down. You start with an opening balance. You add everything that came in during the period. You subtract everything that went out, and that gets you to your closing balance. This pattern makes sure that the story of how a number got from point A to point B is always complete, and more importantly, mathematically correct.
So, let's recap. We have these smart data points called facts, and we have intelligent recipes called patterns for putting them together. So what? What's the big payoff? What does this actually let us do?
Well, this is where it all comes together, and the benefits are they're massive. Because the data and the rules live together, you can automate how reports are created. You get guaranteed data quality because the report can literally check its own math. Information can be reused across tons of different reports without any extra work. AI and analytics tools can just plug right in. And the holy grail, we finally get true, reliable apples-to-apples comparability between different companies.
I mean, really stop and think about that for a second. What if a report wasn't just a static document anymore? What if it was an intelligent system that could literally build itself from live data and check its own work against the rules? That is the world that SBRM is designed to create.
And at its heart, like this quote from the official spec says, the mission is actually pretty simple. It's about making reports easier. It's about taking this messy, confusing, difficult process and making it structured, reliable, and just fundamentally easier for everyone involved.
And that really leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If every single business, every regulator, every investor all spoke the exact same crystal clear data language, what new insights could we finally unlock? What giant problems could we solve? The possibilities are just staggering.